Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the world you're at. This is, I'm Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and I am here with an extremely amazing panel today. I have the famed Allison Robertson, whose book has made the Forbes top 7 lists and is amazing, and it's about being enough. I have Justine Mater, who is a life coach or mindset coach. I get it confused. She's a wife and a mom, and she's here with me. And I have Cody Rain, who chickened out last week, but decided he could deal with 3 women today. So he is here. Having said that, I want to remind everyone that this show is sponsored by Brandbeat Advertising. Shafat Hashmi, the CEO and founder of Brandbeat, also is one of the panelists here. And they do wonderful advertising, branding, websites. You can even look at mine and you'll see how much it has improved. And just come and be a part. Come and talk to them for your advertising and branding needs. Having said that, today we are discussing being positive regardless of our mood. Because the more positive we are, the more likely things are going to go how we want them to go. When we're negative and thinking negative, that's what happens. When we're positive, things go positively. And I'd like our expert from who wrote Enough to kind of explain what it means to have a positive mindset.
Wow. Well, first of all, Carla, thank you so much for having me. And I'm sure the rest of the panel feels the same way. This is an awesome topic. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have a positive mindset. First of all, the brain is the most powerful computer we have. What you tell it, it will go and search out. So being positive is not just a flowery statement. Be positive, be positive. What you tell the brain, it will go find. So if you say we're going to have a great day, I promise you the brain will search out everything about what is great about today. If you say we're going to have a bad day, the brain will go search out everything that is about having a bad day. The same way that you say you're good with money, or I'm bad with money, or my life is not good, my life is good. So filling your mindset with positive thoughts is one of the most valuable things that you can do. And it's also one of the most valuable things that you can teach your children and support your life with. And it's not just flowery thoughts, it's actually scientific. There's a little thing, I'm just gonna go really quick with this, guys, because I think it's invaluable for everyone to know that there's a little thing in your brain called the reticulating activating system, which is the thing that takes everything that filters in all the information that you receive and tells you what the brain should search out. And tell it what to search, it will start to fill the brain. So if you fill it with positive things, that's how the brain knows what to filter through. So my children think I'm crazy, but I'm constantly telling them positive, positive, positive. I don't mind you saying I don't want to do that, as opposed to I can't do that. I don't want to versus I can't to. I get to versus I have to. It's just all about language and positivity. And I end it with you have to be grateful. And that's the perfect recipe for positive thinking. That's my 30 seconds, maybe minute of it.
That was gold.
That was amazing.
And that was gold. And I'm wondering what your take on this is about positive thinking, Cody.
Oh, for me. Oh, Let me throw a wrench in this real quick. I don't believe in positive thinking. And the reason is I feel it's a band-aid. I believe in optimism and action. And on to Allison's point there, when you're putting yourself in
Stop
first,
you for a moment.
sure,
Positive thinking, isn't that optimistic?
absolutely not. We'll say it's a byproduct of positivity. So positivity is one thing. Positivity is going, well, that broke, and yeah, at least it can't be. It could be worse, right? Optimism is literally looking for the lesson. It's looking for what is being taught in a moment that wouldn't necessarily be considered a glorious moment. Applying optimism is a practice, and you get good at anything you practice. So when you're in an optimistic state, you look at things from a place of curiosity, and everything is a moment of teaching and learning. When you do that, when you apply more optimism to things, it changes the way you view and view the information as a whole, because what we're doing as human beings is processing. And that's, Allison, to your point, that's exactly what we're talking about. I wanted to go just a little bit deeper on that, opposed to saying the way that I choose to kind of go throughout the day, live my journey, is instead of saying it's going to be a positive day today, it's going to be a great day today. It is a great day today. 100%. Today is the best day of my life. And since I'm programming myself with that thought, that's not thinking positive. That's applying an actuality to my being. My brain is looking for things that justify that it is the best day of my life at this very moment, opposed to putting myself in a position of waiting for information that validates that it's going to be a good day. Priming yourself, preparing yourself to have an incredible day, an incredible life, starts with the moments that we're living in right this very second. So when we practice applying optimism throughout the day, we get really good at it, in the same way that we look for reasons to validate that we're having a good day. It's the same way we look for instances that validate that we are an optimistic human being, actively looking for new opportunities, genuinely curious, and that contributes to our overall happiness. Positivity is a beautiful thing. I'm not saying I disagree. What I am saying is, if I go, hey man, just think positive, and it's just like, hey man, here's a band-aid, have a great day. Optimism is just it's a lifestyle that I choose to live, and it definitely works for me.
That makes sense. Because I always thought of optimism and positive thinking in the same channel. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I have
ladies
that. I'm sorry. I have it.
Go ahead.
Because I think they all go into the same domino train. I think positivity is the first domino to tip off optimism. And I believe that everything happens for us, not to us. So that if you're in this environment, that it's that flower that opens, right? It's that rose, it's that lotus, it's whatever flower you want. You start that thinking and it begins to open, because everything happens for us, not to us. Bad stuff, good stuff, all of it. It's all a part of your journey and how you think about it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, and to go a little deeper on that, Cody, I love metaphors. So when you say Band-Aid, I'm like, I'm there. I get this, right? Everybody can relate to this. And how many, as a mom, how many Band-Aids do I go through? Anyways, so it's one of those things that we find people in life and business so many times at different levels on the spectrum, right? And processes in the journey. And so, maybe somebody's ready to already go to that optimism level and go all deep with Cody, and even on Allison's points, where they already understand how our brain takes everything in, and to change that perception based in a mindset into being. But somebody may not be ready to do that, and so maybe you just got to start with the Band-Aid and be like, hey, maybe start saying this is happening for me. And, maybe encourage some of those positive affirmations. And I think it's Terry that's been on the show that is really a huge hard hitter with the affirmations and just encouraging that mindset. So I think the really cool thing about what all of us, I mean, even just through this conversation, barely starting, you guys, is that we're already addressing the fact that there's so many different levels that we can find ourselves and friends and family. at, and we can support them in different ways that directly correlate with where they are in the journey. And, you know, being a coach, you know, it's one of those things where, and my dad is a psychologist, like I shared with you last week. So it's one of those things where everyone has different points that you can serve them at. And so serving somebody with the positivity idea when they're ready for optimism and to go deep, that's really kind of a disservice. We need to go all the way, but it doesn't always go fluid. And even the domino, you know, spectrum that Allison brought to the picture as well, is if you start with that perspective change with positivity, and maybe you just need to reinvent yourself to actually accepting that you're enough, right, Allison? To like reset, redo all of the, you know, previous beliefs. And maybe that's where you just start the foolproof way and you go to the beginning. And you start by setting that foundation with positivity and then going that deeper level and being like, this is who I am. This is who I be. You know, this is how it's going to be, to attract all of that and to allow yourself to see it through that perspective that Cody's recommending. I think that that's just something that could set anyone up for success if they're looking for it. And before I get off my little stage here, the other thing I wanted to share too is that everyone has to make a decision. How are we going to look at our life? How are we going to become the person we desire to be? And I have had people in my life and in my business as well that have proved to be on two different sides of the spectrum. They say they made a decision and they act the decision. Two different people. Somebody that wants to quit smoking and the person that quits the day after they realize they're going to die from cancer if they don't. They're both humans. They both bleed red. It comes to that decision and that powerful use of the brain that you have to actively choose who you are, what you become, and how you're going to impact others. And it starts with yourself. It starts with yourself. So I love where this conversation is going, you guys. Oh, I could do this all day.
When you're talking about these things, there are people who are watching who can be from any area of this spectrum. There are people who are like, how do I feel something's positive when my life right now isn't going how I want? And there's people like Cody, and hopefully I'm getting there, and Allison and you. No, hey, if I think this way, I'm going to be more successful. Mm-hmm. So how do we get back to those people who are, hey, they think positive? Look at what's happening in my life. There's nothing positive, but you can wake up and say, hey, my eyes are open. I'm breathing. I'm alive.
Gratitude.
And that in itself changes your way of thinking. Give me your feedback on that and what you would suggest for these.
Allison, you touched on that earlier. You touched on gratitude right there. That is a huge, huge conduit to even allowing positive thoughts into your mind. I would love for you to elaborate on that just a little bit.
Well, where we are right now in the world with what's going on, you know, our world has been turned upside down. People don't know which end is up. They've never experienced what they're experiencing. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty. So people could wake up and every day say, oh, why me? What next? And it is a tough mindset to overcome and fall into. And I understand it. That's the first thing. I understand it. One of the things when you're in this mindset and I say, everything's happening for you, not to you. And I can hear the next subtext. But the first thing, you have to accept what's happening. You have to see the facts that are in front of you. That's the first thing. Accept the reality that's in front of you. And the next step is the gratitude. Because having gratitude for what's in front of you right here, right now, makes what you have enough. And I understand that you might be saying, yes, Allison, that's great. I'm on unemployment. I don't know how to pay my bills. I'm looking at my bank account. How could you say that? Yeah, but do your feet hit the ground every morning? Do you have enough food in your pantry? Do you have a loving family? Do you have a friend? Do you have the ability? Do you have a great imagination? Do you have a dream? I know it sounds really simple and really like very pie in the sky, but you have no idea what you can make from that when you start getting gratitude. It's little simple things and being in the moment. And that's where I'm going to jump into Cody's world about optimism, about what are the possibilities that you can create. And I know that sounds really hard when you're in a world of thinking about how am I going to survive today? And it's that mind shift that Justine's talking about of taking how am I going to survive and shifting it into how am I going to thrive? And that is where you're going to pull yourself up from your bootstraps and say, like, this is how am I going to do this? And I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. When you're in that mindset, it's not an easy place to be by any stretch of the imagination. And I think a lot of people in the entire world right now are not in an easy position. But I'm telling you right now, there is so much possibility right now. Things that you have never thought you have been able to do, you can do. I am a living example of it right now. There are things happening in my world that I never thought would be happening. This conversation, for example, reaching other parts of the world that I never thought I would ever be speaking to. Things that I thought I couldn't do because of finances or opportunity or limitations, because I'm sitting in my four walls with just my family in Los Angeles that's imploding. No, I'm having possibilities that are endless just because I thought, okay, one step in front of the other, looking at the optimism. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's really starting with gratitude. And that gratitude is, what do I have right now in this moment? And then looking for support. Who supports me? Who reflects me? Who sees me in the best possible way? And honestly, it only takes one person to reflect you in the greatest way.
Wow.
And that can change your life.
Forever.
Forever.
Forever. One person, everybody. I'm not talking about a team. I'm not talking about a corporation. I'm talking about one person. And that one person could even be a stranger.
Well, that one person for me, when I started this, what I thought was a silly English show, has exploded like crazy.
Yeah.
And it exploded because Rayhan Alawala believed, oh, you can talk to people in English, we'll get you a big following. And I thought, this is crazy, but I have nothing else to do right now. I might as well try it. And by gosh, it exploded immediately. I mean, to points that neither he or I thought would ever happen. Justine, do you want to add? This show isn't about me, so.
Oh no, but I love how you share part of your story and testimony along with it, because I think that that's what makes stuff so real. And so even us coming to talk to you guys, I just want to really point out too that not everybody, like myself included, there are times where I'm not positive. And that's just the way it is. And for anybody that knows me, I do tend to be a very optimistic individual. That's who I have decided to become. But even as one of those individuals, as a coach, as a leader, it ain't all sunshine, cupcakes, and rainbows, guys. And it's okay. So even like giving yourself that grace, and that's why I just keep going back to the sentence, you are enough. Like that just inspires me so much, Allison. And I have yet to read your book, so trust me, that's on my to get list. But it's one of those things, guys, that even in that sentence that she shares from a platform, dude, I'm coming to your house.
You're missing out. You are missing out.
I know.
And oh my goodness.
Well,
Wait,
but that's
okay.
But that's
Justine,
just it.
this book is her platform. Like, no
Amen
joke.
to
This
too.
is like the playwright to her coaching platform. It's no joke. Like, it's seriously no joke. Like, I've got bookmarks for a reason. I went live on TikTok and talked about this last night. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, no, but it's a huge testimony too, because Allison, here I'm talking to you. You're a human being. You're a human being smiling, but you've been through pain, as that book I'm sure is a testimony of as well. And Cody, I know you, man. I know it's not all been pretty. And it's but that's life. And so guys, when we come talking to you, we come trying to give you tools to use because we know life is going to get you down. You know, a car is going to break down. How do you fix it? You sometimes need tools. And these are some tools to fix your vehicle to get to where you want to go in life, to become that individual that you desire to be, that best version of yourself. You see that all over my profile. That's what we all are about. And that's why we unite to places like this, where we can share that message and be an encouragement of hope, even in these dire times. Like,
Oh no, don't freeze.
She's good. She's good. I love what she's saying though. So I'm gonna fill the void until she gets back.
Allison was saying, like, this is history in the making.
Yeah.
Am I here? Okay.
You're
you guys are all still perfect for me. So I'm like, what? Okay, perfect. Well, I'm back. Okay. Well, keep me posted because, yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't had this issue for a while. But anyways, so the biggest thing for you guys, even in these times, is how are you going to write your own history? You're writing your story. How are you going to do that? And these are, you know, tips and ideas coming from real human beings that have been in deep, dark places and,
100%.
you know, have grown through that. Like Cody was saying earlier, what is this lesson that I get to walk away from in this situation? What can I take with me to support others, to be better myself, to be a parent for me, like trying to teach my son, although he's all of, you know, not even 2 years old, you know, what can I give him to become the best person too? And so that's why for me, just even hearing how the stories that you have, Carla, of doubt and like, how is this going to work for me? You took that and was like, you know what? Somebody believes in me. I'm going to give it a go. And sometimes that single person can change the course of history, not only for you, but the millions of people that you are going to impact. It's that ripple effect, or like I like to say wave effect, when you drop a boulder and it's like, boom. But if you didn't drop that boulder, everybody would be waiting for that. So if there's something on your guys' heart in the audience here, whoever gets to catch this, someone needs you someday, somewhere, and they need you to do what they have to do. So show up and use, you know, if you know, Allison isn't enough of an inspiration, go to Cody, go to Carla. I'm always here for you guys too. Like, guys, we believe in you because we have been there and we know what it's like. And so if that's a word for anyone, don't give up and just start today, because today is what you've got. Use
100%.
it.
And not even just today, this very moment.
Yes.
Maybe this morning before you watched this, you were feeling, oh my gosh, but you saw that this was happening and you didn't know what to do. I don't always know what to do. It's this moment that you can change. We have another panelist, which these guys haven't met yet, like Edmondson, who talks about the future. And his famed line in my mind is, the future is right now. It depends on what we decide this very moment. If we decide that it's going to be a bad day this very moment, the next moment will be that bad. But if we decide, oh, the day can get better, this moment can be a good moment, the moment will become better. And Allison, you look like you want to say something.
I do, and I feel so bad for Cody because now
My heart is, I'm like, if I don't say something, I'm gonna explode.
3 women now, 3 women, and we're all in our flow, and here we go. But here's the thing, and this is why, this is something in my book that I really believe in, is that, you know, we're all striving. We want more. We want something else. You know, we want to lose 5 pounds. We want more money. We want a bigger house. We want a better job. We want this. We want that. But I really do believe that we have everything, every tool that we need right this second to start whatever we want right now. And we went back to saying, like, what if we're in a negative space, or what if we're in fear, or what if we're in anxiety, and what if we're sitting there looking at, especially in this uncertain times that we're in now, and, you know, how do we start now? Well, I'm in pain now. And I'm telling you that you have the tools right now to start whatever you need today. And sometimes it feels impossible. And we're all 4 leaders sitting here telling you, you can, because we've all been there, but you truly can. and that you have enough today to start whatever you want.
100%.
And it's truly just closing your eyes and saying, I can, I will, I am, here I go, and start. Because everything you need is right inside of you. Truly, today to start.
This is amazing. Allison, you are phenomenal. I love every just where you are in life. I've had the privilege of watching you grow, and just your excitement, all these things that you never knew could possibly happen, right? Now, one of the things that as Justine, as you were so just eloquently putting these things, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I live by all of these things. And one of the things, okay, so we all touched on it, is one of my affirmations. I actually have two, and it's in regards to success, right? Actually, three now that I think about it. I'm attracted to success, and success is attracted to me. I'm also attracted to happiness, and happiness is magnetic to me. More importantly, with that, one of the two things that I always tell myself every single day, it's just a part of my being now because I practiced my affirmations from a negative place, from a state of recovery through liver failure. When you've lost everything, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? You've lost everything. Do you even feel like you're enough? I mean, you have to really break these things down. You've got zero. So my affirmations, some of the most powerful ones, is everything I do today is setting me up for success tomorrow. Everything I do today is setting me up for success tomorrow. Touching on what you were saying, Justine, one of my other affirmations is, I know, maybe it was Allison, I know somebody somewhere is benefiting from my existence at this very moment. Something that I said, something that I did, someone else on the planet has been affected and is being affected in a positive way simply because I'm alive. Allison, you never knew this was going to end up in my hands. The person who wrote this book the graphic designer has affected me for the rest of my life. He had no idea. She had no idea that I was going to get my hands on this book. But that person, because they are alive, has changed my relationship habits. It's just amazing the way that works. And if you're in a negative place for whatever reason, trust me, 2 years of depression, years of alcohol, literally on my deathbed, you've survived absolutely every single thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life. And today is the first day of the rest of your life. Going back to Justine, the power of choice is a superpower.
Yes.
It's not about who you are today. It's about who you want to be. And the way you figure out the type of person you want to be is looking at the things that make you happy. Write those things down. What brings you joy? Write down the things you dislike. And if you're not surrounded by the things that you dislike, then you're in a really good place. And if you are surrounded by the things you dislike, now you know what to work on, what to change. Simple as that. The fact that you can even have these thoughts is something to be thankful for. It's a great way to practice gratitude. It will change your life because in the act of thinking, you are also doing. You just have to give yourself that credit so you can put yourself in that optimistic state and move through life.
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more.
Happiness is a commodity that should be valued.
Yes.
Happiness is a commodity that should be valued. And knowing what you don't want is equally as important as knowing what you do want. And
Exactly.
as soon as you knowing you is something that you should get to know
As a priority.
Something
Yes.
you should know.
It's
Very
an
quickly.
understatement. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's interesting. I work with Dean Graziosi very closely. And so it's one of those things that, having that to-do list is often something that he talks about. Having that to-do list is almost too hard to come up with sometimes, right? So what's the not to-do list? So maybe you're like, what? I love everything in this world. Like, what don't I like? Like, I don't know. If you say, I don't like this, it could be food, it could be people, it could be shows. I don't care, but figure out what you don't like and why you don't, because then everything else is on the like list. And like Cody said, if you find yourself even remotely covered by those things, you'll find yourself in a very good place to grow with that positivity and optimism, because you can't grow in a place of, what doesn't make you happy. You can't grow in an unhealthy environment. That's I mean, we're not superheroes, we're all human. And so
Right.
to be very human with you guys, don't set yourself up for failure by not allowing yourself to grow in the right place. So if that means changing, if that means, you know, making a move to allow yourself, to give yourself that permission to grow and to change, to become.
I love that you bring up permission. Allison, I can see you itching over there. I'm always saying this for anybody who is struggling, for anybody who feels as though they are not in the best place. Most of our lives, we are kind of reliant or programmed by something or someone, our environments, whatever it is. And one of my favorite questions, which kind of puts things in perspective, is who are you waiting for permission from? Like, who's giving you the okay? This is your life. I don't care if it's your friends or parents or family, whatever. Who are you relying on that's going to give you the okay to be okay, to start working on you? You got to take care of you. Your environment is up here. So the healthier environment you put yourself in, even in just practicing these things, even just thinking about these things that make you happy, you're literally programming yourself to see things in a different way. And that changes your environment, which it puts you in a place of growth. And when you're working on growth, practicing growth, the world conspires to make you happy. Literally, every time you turn around, there's Justine. And is that Allison? It is. It's Carla over there. It's just crazy the way that works. But it starts from recognizing the fact that you're not in a healthy place and you want to make the change. And more importantly, empowering yourself by knowing that you're the one that's making that decision and you're giving yourself permission.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And that's what Allison said too. You have to acknowledge to change anything. You have to accept where you're at. But
one of the things to piggyback on what you were saying, Cody, is that I always say to clients when they come up with, they're looking for permission, or I hear what I call an imaginary rule book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have the rules of their life. And I always ask them, I say, would you mind your next session bringing me the rule book that you have? And I'm sorry, what rule book? And I'll say, well, you seem to have a lot of rules in your life about what you can and cannot do. So if you could bring me the rule book, it would make my job so much easier, because then I would be able to follow them and we could just move through it much quicker. And you'd save a whole lot of money with me, because then I could just read the rule book and we could just get through it. And they'd say, I don't have a rule book. And I'll say, exactly. So could you please stop living by this rule book that you have created? Because I don't believe we have rules. Right? So throw them away and start doing exactly what you need to do to get the success and happiness that you want.
100%. As you're saying rule book, I love this. I got to give a shout out to one of my favorite people who's here. Her name is Asara Sunray. She is the creator of Quantum Mastery Empowerment. One of the things, I work with her every single day. She's not just a part of the Mantis program. She's a dear friend of mine. And she always says this: what story are you telling yourself? What is this story that you've created for you? What are you repeating to you? For me, I go a little bit more, I don't want to say deeper. I just, I take a different route. It is, it's not necessarily the story, but what is this political truth? What is this thing that's being repeated to you? We have to realize that we believe many things that have been repeated to us, right? The most damaging one are the ones that we repeat to ourselves, right? They come from external. We are the product of our environment, of our situations, every conversation, every dog that walked by us, everything has programmed us and put us in here. And as Sarah, she goes, man, what's that? I wonder what the story is that they are repeating to themselves that's keeping them in this position. Because when we change that story, when we recognize that the story is being written in real time, we can alter the ending. As a matter of fact, we can just rewrite the beginning and we'll meet back here in the middle, right? It's amazing what happens when we recognize the amount of power we have over our own mind.
And that's the whole point. I think many people forget that what we see in the world is there because we put it in our mind. If we want to see peace in the world, it needs to be in our mind and our heart. If we want to see joy in the world, you need to find it. Now, there is no one out there who doesn't have joy and peace and love in their mind and in their heart. It's that, it's only that it has been forgotten. And it's covered by the stress. And we need to work on getting rid of the stress and strain that covers all the positivity in the world. Allison, you look like you're about to say something.
No, I was just going to say it's just fear. We just have
Yes.
to release our fear so that joy, fear and excitement really register the same in the body. It's the brain that tells us the difference. So a lot of times when we're in fear, I just think we just have to check in with ourselves and tell the brain, am I really in fear or could I be excited? And I tell my kids that all the time when they say, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. I said, hold on, really? Are you really afraid? Or could you be excited about that test? Are you afraid about that math test or could you be excited? Now, I generally think they want to kill me after I say that, but I really want them to be excited about their math test, not in fear, because it's just a little switch of a mindset.
100%.
Powerful though. Powerful switch.
It's
So
insane.
maybe we could be into joy instead of being in fear of each other. Maybe we could get
Fear.
excited about each other.
Honestly, there are healthy fears. Absolutely. I fear, like, even on my podcast, I talk to people. I'm like, what is the most irrational fear that you have? And they go, chocolate. I was talking to Carmen. She's like, I'm afraid of chocolate. That's really irrational, but it's funny, right? But then again, there are some real fears, and fear, right, is false evidence appearing real. Our
Correct.
mind does not really know the difference between a thought and reality. You can sit and think about the happiest moment. Just you think about your 2-year-old being born and whoa, like my body is physically reacting to a thought of you having that thought.
Right.
That's awesome.
Literally.
But no, that's the
I
power.
can only imagine.
But that's the power of being in that moment. And that's where, when Allison was talking about our brain, if we think about those things consistently, then it becomes something that our body and brain is looking for. So then it becomes something that you don't turn away in fear. You almost run towards in excitement because that's exactly what you've been desiring. That's what you've been preparing yourself and envisioning along that journey.
So how can we help people turn the fear into excitement? Fear is happiness upside down. Fear is love upside down. I always say your enemy. I tell people to bring their enemies to the English show, and they look at me, what? And I say, if you bring your enemies and you begin speaking with them, they are no longer enemies, they become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what all this is about.
100%.
I think it goes back to, if we're going to help somebody, you also have to understand what's going on. So you kind of have to identify that fear. If it is chocolate, well, goodness gracious, let's figure out why you fear the chocolate, right? I don't have the answer to that because I love chocolate. So sorry, guys, I'm not the solution for that. So sorry, Carmen, but yeah, I'm not gonna have the solution for that one. But I think understanding why you fear it, because typically, and there's an exercise that goes like 7 layers deep, asking yourself why. For whether something you want or whether it's something you fear or something you enjoy, regardless of what it is, why do you enjoy what you do, Cody? Why do you do it every day? Why are you, jumping out of bed to be doing and impacting people's lives? Or why don't you enjoy this part of the process? Why don't you? And so when you understand it, you can change it. Or when you understand it, you can be like, you know what? It's painful right now, but it's going to be worth it. It's, part of the process right now, but it's a lesson that I can take away. So when you understand it, so for people that are struggling right now, trying to be like, well, this was a great talk, you guys, how can I actually do this? Or how can I actually move forward with this? Understand the tools that we gave you. And then you know how to use them, but understand which tools you need, because you may not need all of them. Because remember, 100%. We said you might be at a different level. So maybe you're like, I'm already ready to go deep with Cody. And I'm going to talk about optimism. What Band-Aids were you using? So now you can
100%.
actually go deep and take care of whatever that wound was, whatever that fear was.
Beautiful. Real quick on that topic, I've been meaning to mention it, and then you touched on it again about tools. One of the main things I'll always think of my mother every time I hear anything similar is she told me, don't fix the problem, right? Fix why it happens, right? Because we could band-aid all day, right? But if that problem keeps occurring, it goes a little bit deeper. It goes much deeper. And it doesn't mean it's hard to get there, but that goes for using that why tool, that 5 layers, 7 layers, 7 layers, and you're in the center of the earth. You figured out the why exists and why that why exists and all that jazz. One of the things that I do is I have this notepad. I'm actually going to be investing in a whole bunch of these notepads. I will write down specific words that I hear that are not triggering, but are standing out. I'll write down, oh, I like this. Oh, nope, right? Yes, Paul. No, Paul. Write that. I don't like that. I like this. I don't like that. It's just a practice. A tool is just getting in the habit of recognizing what you like and what you don't like, and not just saying, this surface level, really going why does that matter? Putting yourself in a place of genuine curiosity. When we forget about that, kids ask 500 questions a day. Literally, that's like analytically, it's roughly 500 questions. Adults, we don't ask that many. We think we know everything, right? But when we get in the habit of asking why, or I want to understand that, it helps us first off recognize what we actually do understand. And that puts us in a position to go deeper, to understand what it actually is and what it means to us. And if we even really like it, or if it's even necessary for us, who knows, But I'm with you, and I agree 100%. Starting with those Band-Aids is a first place to look at. Let's rip those off real quick, because we're going to need to heal the wound, not just cover it up so it doesn't get, dirty.
And
Wait, hold on. I got to get my 2 cents on this. So
quickly, and then
it's really quick. So here's the thing. We have information and we turn it into knowledge, and then we take an action. Okay. So that taking everything that they said, information into knowledge, then an action. But knowledge is not always understanding. So everything that we talked about today, you're getting the knowledge. It does not mean it's in your body yet. So I'm going to give you something, everybody that's listening, to understand how long it takes everything that we just gave you to get into your system, and how long all this positivity, optimism, mindset change could take for you to take an action to make a difference in your world. And I'm going to ask you to go to YouTube and watch a 7-minute video called The Backwards Bike.
yes,
About Destin from he does a thing about a backwards bike that explains how the neurotransmitters in your brain, how long it takes to make a change or to make a habit, to make a change. And it's the most fascinating, interesting 7 minutes. So it's The Backwards Bike, explains how knowledge is not understanding and why you're trying to become enough and make these changes. Remember, you take the information, it turns it into knowledge, and then we take an action. Be positive.
Allison, do me a favor, put that in the Facebook chat for this.
Go ahead and do that right now.
When you are done.
Cody's the guy that got it.
We have had quite a bit of people engaging today. It's very exciting to see. I've been reading it. I can't go through it all now, but I want to thank you guys, Allison, Justine, and Cody, for having this amazing conversation today. We do need to go because people are going to wonder, where is the English show? And the English show comes up next. However, I want to remind you, if you want to become a panelist for MindPlore, I put the link in the chat a little later than I should have, but it's pinned there now. And you will find out how to become a panelist there. Thank you, Cody, for teaching me to do that.
You are very welcome.
Number 2, I want to thank Shafat Hasmi, the founder of Brownbeat and CEO, for sponsoring this show with all my advertising website needs plus. And with that, let's wave goodbye. And Allison will be back tomorrow, but there'll be other people here with us too. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.